And my name is Fu.
And we are very excited to be your MCs for today.
It's a pleasure for us to welcome you all here today to our first ever TEDxISV School of 2018. On behalf of the organizing team, I would like to express a warm welcome to everybody in this room today.
And now, without further ado, let's get on with the show. Have any of you guys here ever wondered how your identity came to be? And most importantly, what is identity?
Vaughn, what do you think the term identity means?
I believe that are things that we love doing and that define who we are as individuals.
I agree. I think that this is particularly true for Quinn. Quinn is someone who found her true self from doing what she absolutely loves. M-U-N.
Yeah, that sounds very interesting. Let's hear it from our ISV delegate, Quinn. Clapping is now in order.
Good morning, everyone. How are you today? We asked that before. Lovely day, lovely school. This isn't working? Okay. Oh, all right. Lovely day, lovely school. Do you know that our school has a standard-sized swimming pool that would be absolutely amazing for a pool party? You know, lunging around the sides, having a couple of drinks, splashing around in the water. Show of hands who would like that. Oh, yes. I would probably get in trouble for saying that. But it turns out it's not just us awkward homo teenagers who would like a pool party. Grumpy, bold, middle-aged world leaders would also like a pool party, but for a different reason. So in 1958, in the middle of the Cold War, the famous leader of revolutionist communist China, Mao Zedong, invited Soviet Union leader Nikita Khrushchev to a state visit in his country. One morning, Mao showed up to the meeting dressed in nothing but bathrobes and slippers. He announced that they would be having the meeting in Mao's private pool. The thing is, Khrushchev couldn't swim. And so Khrushchev had to resort to reside in the children's side of the pool while Mao swam in the deeper side. And then later on, Khrushchev had to wear a life jacket and struggle to strut along with Mao while the Chinese leader swam and talked about important policies. Needless to say, Khrushchev was humiliated, shook, crushed. But that leads to the collapse of the Sino-Russian relationship. And even though that's probably a bad thing, but for Vietnam, it led to the US diplomat Henry Kissinger to effectively bring forth the end of US military action in Vietnam. Now, history is full of instances like that. Power moves to dictate the movement of the world. A single word, a single action from a world leader could make or break a moment of peace. It's great responsibility, but it's also great power. And it's not something that us ordinary folks get to do very often. Well, unless you do Model United Nations, then it's every other month. For those of you who don't know, Model United Nations is an activity where students would role play as representatives of countries and discuss issues together to find a solution. There is a rule in MUN that says that you cannot use personal pronouns. In your speeches, you cannot say I, you, sort of like that. But it's always the delegate of Russia, the delegate of China thinks that, the delegate of Vietnam thinks that. And so this process, you're alienating your personal self to act as the sole consolidation of your countries, all your country's strengths, weaknesses, ambitions, and friends. None of what you think matters anymore. It's what your country thinks that matters. And that could be difficult sometimes, but most often it could be liberating. Responsibility and making decisions tire the average human. We are worn down by having to make too many decisions. And you don't have to take my word for it. A research by the University of Minnesota recently showed that the mere act of selection can deplete neural muscles. And so how many of us here are struggling to make that decision, to find a university, a career, a purpose in life? Well, in MUN, it's different. It's set out for you. Your goal, your purpose, your country stance, your perspective is set out for you. No pondering, no tiring. And that's what I like about MUN, the assumption of a position higher than myself, to carry out a mission greater than myself with a predetermined purpose. And it is this freedom that lets you reflect on who you really are, that lets you really think and logically examine the world around you. By distancing yourself from the established fixtures surrounding you, your environment, your school, your friends, family, all of that, and it's only your thoughts, your rationalizing that matters. As the guy once said, I think, therefore I am. For me, the process of thinking has led me to find out who I am. But I'm not here to talk about who I am, because the results is not as important as the process. For me, MUN is an example of how I found my identity. But for you, it could be different. And I hope you would find the same by applying the same principles. After all, it's not only about who you are, it's also about why you become who you are. Thank you.
For your amazing speech.
Okay, that's gonna be a problem later, but I guess that's fine. Okay, you are not unique, all of you. While it does sound a bit melodramatic, hopefully after you've heard what I said, you'll agree with me. So, good morning. My name's Sky from grade 12. And this is my first ever TED Talk. While this doesn't seem like much, it is a great chance for me to express my thoughts publicly on a subject I am very familiar with. Hopefully, you'll bear with me. So, at some point in our life, we've all been contemplating our choices, our given traits, our personalities. We're all trying to look for something. Meaning, purpose, and individuality, especially that last one. You see, people are so afraid of being not unique that our generation and the one before has given it a special term. Basic. Now, what is this basic exactly? Well, according to Urban Dictionary, the term basic is used to refer to someone that is devoid of any characteristics or any defining characteristics that make someone extraordinary, interesting, or simply worth devoting time or attention to. People are so afraid of being not unique, of being basic, that it haunts them every day. It affects their life choices and makes them more subject to peer pressure. And I can say, as a teenager in high school, 100% of all students has been subject to peer pressure before. I'm no different, of course, as an Asian who is straight, has strict parents, and is looking for a higher education in the West, which is in fact in a field of engineering. I'm not exactly the right person to be telling you this, but I've had first-hand experience watching people being unsure in their own decisions. Let's give a small example. Let's say a new student transfers to our school. He is A, athletic, B, academically gifted, and C, happens to look like award-winning actor Ryan Reynolds. I can guarantee that he will be popular in our school. Not amongst the boys, though. You see, this is a great example of the social hierarchy that we are exposed to today, all the time. A person's worth is determined by their looks, their academic background, and their athleticism. So really, what I'm trying to get to is, don't strive to be unique in the eyes of your peers, but be proud of the person you have become, will be, and achieve. Thank you.
Why do you guys start laughing? You're so cute. Thank you. So, hello guys.
We're the two idiots.
I'm Evan.
I'm June.
From grade 10. And we want to introduce to you guys about identity. So, before we start, wait, have a guess. What is identity?
Anyone?
That cute lady?
Anyone?
Have a guess? Just have a guess so we can carry on. Come on. Anyone?
Oh, so, well, at first glance, we might think that the something that makes us as us is our personality, our memories, our knowledge, our characteristics, but I think it's much more than that. Let's say we were able to make your brain into data and store it inside the computer. Would that computer be considered as you? And would it be considered to have the same identity as you? I think not.
Why not?
You see, as the computer is generated in a split second of time, the computer will always develop different thoughts. And it will develop different thoughts from you, and you two will end up in different paths and have different identities at the end. Let's think about this a bit differently. Let's say this is you, the original you, and that is the clone you. You have died. Since the real original has died,
Well, I think this one would be considered as original because they look exactly the same and the original has died, right?
well, I think differently. You see, even if this clone may have the same characteristics, memories, knowledge, and the same data, it may not make the same choices as the original you would have made if it were alive. And at the point we are questioning this, we all know that these two have different identities.
Well, we want to take your perspective into a whole different direction. Let's say your computer store mind has transferred into a clone.
Don't take the money by the bleachers. Hello everyone.
millions of years, objects have been forming, taking shape, making impressions on each other, forming unique relationships. Some estimates place the origin of the sun at about 5 million years, the earth about 5 million years, and man 2 million years. What are the characteristics that make our sun unique? There are many. Heat, light, to name a few. What are the characteristics of our earth? There are many. Water, oxygen, to name a few. What are the characteristics of man that makes man unique? There are many. Imagination, the unique ability to form relationships with not only each other, but with everything. Elements, the ability to control movements of elements and how they intertwine. The ability to create fascinating ideas, fascinating realities, just from an imagination. Imagination. Earlier this month, I was talking with my year 10 computer science students. One of your greatest assets is your imagination. I ride a motorcycle to school with Odette and Zian, holding on tight as I brake and accelerate. I'm passing all these shops with buyers walking in and out with their money, hoping to see something they like or they need. Years ago, it was just land. Someone had the idea, the imagination to put a building on that land. Now there's a marketplace where people are buying and selling products and services. What products and services are they buying? Well, it was up to the shop owner. They thought it was a good idea. I'm going to sell shoes. I'm going to sell fertilizer, clothes, have a maintenance depot for motorcycles when they break down. Out of nothing but the management of electricity. Now, electricity is the movement of infinitely small particles called electrons. You can't see them, but if you touch that live wire, you could die. And infinitely small electrons will rush through your body at some incredible speeds. You can't see them, but they're so real. Our imagination works the same way as electricity. You cannot see it, but it powers us, it drives us, it motivates us. Measure our imagination. Well, you can measure results. Imagine, think, action. Let time, energy, and persistence be your friend as you put action. You don't need any graduation certificates. You don't need a master's from a university. You don't need to have some epic skill. You don't even need to be any particular age, no matter who you are, where you are, what age you are, whether you're 3, 13, 33, 55, 75, 105, you have an imagination. Perhaps you even dream when you're sleeping. Your imagination should drive your motivation to inspire not only yourself, but the others around you in distant lands, in distant times. Your ability to inspire others for thousands of years. Your imagination. Don't take your imagination for granted. It has the potential for great power. Respect it. Protect it. Nurture it. Listen to it. Respond to it. The energy that you share when you put life into your imagination is a small subset of the characteristics that make you unique. You have many characteristics that makes you unique. It'll continue to take shape. It will continue to make an impression on others and forming unique relationships. What's your dream? Marry that with, okay, I will. Grow, change, become. Thank you.
Thank you, Van, for that smooth introduction. So, as we all know, the topic for the TEDxISV talk is identity. Now, when I think of identity, the first thing I think is our names. Our names are given to us at birth, and they stick with us, and they become a part of us until the end of time. Our names are what people associate us with, and in many ways are labels. I mean, think about it. We have our names on our passports, on our certificates, on our IDs. Technically, our names are how we recognize what is ours and what is not. People say that someone's name is
and your kids will never be able to reach them. And guess who in the end, who will be the one left hurting? Your child will be demotivated because they think, no, they know that they will never be able to reach your standards. They will never be able to impress you. Other kids can achieve things your child can't, and that's perfectly fine. Your child has talents of their own. It is not your life, it's their life, with their dreams and their talent. It is your job to find and nurture those talents, to guide them on the right path, not dictating their choices, their passion, their goals. Think about it. If you compare your kids to others and want them to be like others, then they are no longer your kids, are they? Anger out on their own kids. Parents calling their children crazy, dumb, stupid throughout their whole childhood. Parents shaming their kids for being too skinny, or too fat, or too slow, or too different. Parents who violently and relentlessly hurt and beat their own kids. Kids. I know even grown-ups are scared of being physically abused. So why do you think it's acceptable to do that to kids? These punishments are beyond harsh and cruel. They can cause great agony and anguish to a child, even to the point of traumatizing them. Now, you might be just sitting there and thinking, so what? A little criticism and discipline can do no harm to a person. And I get where you're coming from. I do. Now, even the smallest things can cause great harm. That joke you were making the other day about somebody's eating habits or the clothes that they were wearing last Friday, they might act like they're fine with it, sure. But that can shatter anybody's self-esteem and can cause them to be antisocial. They become so insecure in everyday life, paranoid of the constant glares, the pointing fingers, the endless gossip that might occur. That is where you're wrong. These traumatizing experiences won't just go away. Time heals wounds, but not scars. If they are not confronted and resolved, they will forever remain as scars that will be embedded within that person, holding them back, stopping them from ever reaching their full potential, preventing them from being who they are. So think twice about the next time you try to make a snarky remark about somebody or try to enforce some rules that you yourself don't want to follow. Because these are no different than chains and shackles, no different from knives and swords and weapons, no different from torture and criminal offenses. They will cut deep and they will leave marks, rotting that person all the way to the core. We're not asking you to be nice to everyone. We're really not. There's no way you can get along with everyone. But be respectful to their work ethics. Be respectful of their dreams. And most importantly, be respectful of everything that they are. Thank you.